Do you, honest to God, believe that there would ever come a time where I would bring someone home, that I would date someone, bring them home to my family, bring them around, my trans sibling, that wasn't completely safe around them, that didn't love them the same way that I do? Do you think that I'm the type of person that would prioritize dick over the safety, love, and support of my sibling who I love dearly? Like, I'd have to be fucking lobotomized to give a shit about that.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for heart-to-hearts and hot gossip, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drosbeck, co-hosted this week by my foster kitten Zip, who is doing everything in her power to tear up my bed, my pillows, my blankets, everything that I own. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Get your finger out of my face. That's what I picture her saying to me right now. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Emotionally Online. Oh, now you're going to try to eat the cords? Truce? Can we have a truce? No. She said, absolutely not, mama. I'm going to go bite these cords over here. How's it going? How are we feeling? I, for one, am having one of those days where all I want to do is be done with everything I'm doing. And, oh my God, where are my notes? Now she's stepping on my computer. No, please let me work. Can I have a job? Is it okay for me to have a job? Can I please? Please. That honestly felt like an omen a little bit, because what I was about to say was I'm having one of those days where all I want to do is stop doing everything I'm doing and watch Bravo. And she literally just started tip-tapping away on my computer, making it all go haywire. Yeah, I'm crazy like that. It's crazy to know that you're experiencing the good old days in real time. And what I mean by that is I already am feeling nostalgic for this current period of time in my life where I am getting to watch all of the Housewives franchises for the first time and other various Bravo shows. Like, I'm just having the best time ever. I started my Bravo journey almost a year ago, which is crazy because I still have so much more to watch. It's actually unfathomable. But sometimes I'll think too hard about it and I'll be like, there will come a day where I will have seen all of the shows. And I know they're going to still be coming out with new episodes, but it's different to be all caught up and not having anything to binge. I love being in the middle of my binge and being like, there are hundreds of hours ahead of me. Like, I'm so safe here in the binge, here in the pocket, you know, everything. The world is my oyster. I could sit here and watch deep into the night and I would still have hundreds of hours ahead of me. That is incredible to me. That's comforting. I love just being in the middle of the Bravo ocean. You know, these are the good old days. Getting to experience this for the first time. I'm aware of it. I know this time around. Like, who could have ever predicted this? Sometimes I think about that and I'm like, if you told 1 year ago, Maddie, who at that point had not even started watching Vanderpump Rules yet. I started watching Vanderpump in May of 2025. If you told her that she was gonna, a year from now, have a Vanderpump Rules rewatch podcast that is like her most fun thing that she gets to work on every week, I'd be like, what in the fuck are you talking about? Maybe this is just a reminder that a year from now, your life could be so different. A year from now, you could be struck with a creative idea or pursuit or path that is just so much fun, that brings your life so much joy, and you literally can't even conceive of what it is yet. I had never seen Vanderpump Rules, and now getting to rewatch and relive it and talk about it with one of my besties is literally the highlight of my week every week, and I'm having so much goddamn fun. So much. There's just so much life to consume, so many things to watch and talk about. Oh, I just live for the gossip. Ain't that true? Ain't that right, sister? Come on, hit me. And to accompany myself in my Bravo binges, I bought myself this massive lavender Lola blanket. I was on Patreon live last month talking about how at the top of the list of things that I have on my phone of shit I wanted to buy but didn't, a Lola blanket was literally at the top because these blankets are expensive. And I was like, dude, there's no way I should spend that much on a blanket. But then every time I brought it up to one of my friends, they were all like, you know what, Maddie, I think that's a totally okay thing to spend money on, a blanket that you'll use all the time. And I was like, you know what? You guys are low-key convincing me. And with the amount of time I'm spending in here cuddled up with this cat who wants to destroy everything that I own watching Bravo shows, like, we needed something comfy and cozy, didn't we? Yes, we did. I only have one more week with her and she wants to get away from me. We only have one more week together. You want to be nice to me? No. Sometimes she's evil and sometimes she's sweet. Right now she's being evil. My hands are not toys. I love your ambition though, queen. Okay, I love it. Needless to say, I bought myself this Lola blanket. I did a little bit of a splurge. And the people online that have been saying these blankets are like the comfiest, coziest things ever were not fucking joking. It is so soft. Like, Zip, this cat is so soft. This blanket is softer than her. She might be a little jealous. That was one of 2 purchases I made this week, okay? Number 1, Lola blanket. Number 2, and this is a purchase that I think is going to be everything to me this spring and maybe even this summer as well, and that is a pair of culottes. Woo! Culotte spring, everybody. Let's go! I am loving the little culotte trend that I see everyone else participating in. And I want to get there. I want to be in that culotte moment with you. So I bought myself a pair of culottes and I'm just manifesting that I'm going to like them. Imagine I talk about this on the show and then they come in the mail and I'm like, fuck, they look hideous on me. It's entirely possible. I'm manifesting that I'm going to love these fucking culottes, okay? But here's the thing. I know that there's this subsection of people that are culotte haters. Every time I say the word culottes, I'm reminded of that movie, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar and they like, what is it? They like have to skydive or something. They're jumping out of a helicopter or airplane and they use their culottes as like a parachute to get them down to the beach. I like forget a lot of this movie, but I do remember the culottes. So I'm pretty excited to have a pair of my own. And I know there's going to be a ton of people online that do not see the vision, that are like, what the hell are these Bermuda shorts? And I know this because I see them, those comments. Every time I see a sexy woman wearing a pair of sexy culottes, there's someone in the comments like, ew, what are these? You look like Tony Hawk. And I'm like, and what if I want to? Hey, have we ever considered that? Have we ever considered that I grew up playing Tony Hawk skateboard Wasteland, Wonderland, whatever the fuck it was called on Xbox, where I don't know if there was any objective to that game. I remember just skating around. I remember just being in that game, walking around, doing laps, doing some skateboard tricks. I don't remember there being an actual purpose, but maybe that was just the way that I was playing it. I was playing Tony Hawk Skateboard Wonderland like it was Sims, except there's nothing. I don't give a shit if people hate the fucking Bermuda short culotte extravaganza. As someone who spent much of my childhood in Bermuda shorts and culottes, I'm liking the resurgence in a more stylish way, okay? I'm liking culottes for spring. Culottes for spring for Maddie. Awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to have a great time. Me with my culottes and my Lola blanket against the world. What else could you possibly need? Right? Ain't that right, sister? Come on. Give me 5. Before I get into the submissions for this week, I saw a quote on Instagram earlier today that I thought was kind of a beautiful reframe when it comes to friendship breakups, friendships ending. And I wanted to bring it to the pod, to the Lover Girls. It says, did I lose a friend or did I complete a friendship? Simple, right? But kind of a beautiful way to look at it. Did I lose a friend or did I complete a friendship? Not every friendship is supposed to be in our lives forever, and that is okay. Sometimes your friendship only makes sense in a certain season of life. Maybe you only have things in common because you grew up in the same town, or eventually you turn into different people. You graduate high school, you part ways, you change, you evolve as a person. Maybe you only connect with someone because you are going through similar things at similar times. Those moments influence you in different ways. I feel like that is true of like freshman year of college a lot of the time. You bond with people because you're all going through the same thing of being in a new place with brand new people and sort of adjusting to your surroundings. And then by the time you hit sophomore year, are you still friends with the people you're besties with freshman year? I feel like a lot of the time, probably not. You find your footing, you meet new people through your classes, the clubs, the things you're doing, and you find your actual social circle a little bit deeper into college. We can come up with 100 different scenarios where this is the truth. Point being that the thing that makes friendship worthwhile, the thing that makes it impactful, the thing that makes it meaningful to us is not the promise that it lasts forever. The duration of time that someone spends in your life doesn't negate the importance of that friendship, the influence of that friendship, how you grew from it, how you changed. Sometimes stories just end, okay? Think of your favorite TV show that ended at the exact right time, exactly when it was supposed to. And then think of another TV show that you loved for so long and that eventually it kind of went off the rails and it probably should have been canceled a couple seasons earlier, but instead they kept it pushing and it just kind of went in the tubes naturally on its own. Honestly, it's a real gift to know when to call it quits, when the end is the end, when your paths are diverging, when you don't align anymore, when life is just different. And also, it's not so black and white where a friendship is either on or off. It's either 100 or 0. I've had friendships that we've gone through seasons where we are at 100%. We are so intertwined in each other's lives. And then, maybe we become 40% friends, 30% friends. The kind of friends that catch up every couple months, see each other maybe once a year. And that is what feels right for our friendship at that moment, even though there was a time in life where we were, 90% friends, 100% friends. And it doesn't have to mean anything negative. When I think about the friends in my life where we at one point were closer and now we're not, there is absolutely zero negative feeling surrounding that for me. I feel like I want my friends to go off and explore the various life paths that light them up inside and that make them feel giddy and excited. And if that life path isn't a mirror for mine, I'm not offended by that. You know what I mean? Like, I want my friends to be them. And if that means being different than me, then I want that for them. You know what I mean? And they feel the same way about me. It ebbs and it flows. Sometimes we have more in common. Our lives are more similar. We become closer as a result, and sometimes they're not, and we fade back. We're still friends, but in a different way. Friendship changes. It evolves. It's a really beautiful, wonderful thing when you allow yourself to be flexible with it and to accept that sometimes the endings are supposed to happen. They're supposed to be there, and that is okay. That's not to say they're not painful. Sometimes they absolutely are painful, particularly if you're not totally aligned on where that ending should be, or one of you feels that you have more in common than the other person does. Such is life. Sometimes we just don't see things eye to eye. But I think sometimes people view friendship breakups and breakups in general as failures of some kind, and I don't think that's true at all. That's also why I've kind of always hated the phrase unlucky in love. And because people would always say that about women specifically. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone call a man unlucky in love, because who gives a fuck? But I've heard people call women unlucky in love, mostly because they've been single for a long time or they haven't met the right person to be in a long-term committed relationship with. And I always heard that and I was like, well, that doesn't feel truthful to me. If I'm going to talk about someone being unlucky in love, I'm actually probably going to look at the person that's been in a dead-end relationship with a loser for 20 years, but what do I know? I just feel like we have such an aversion to endings as a society, as a culture. And I think that people would actually be a lot happier if they allowed things to have an end date, allowed things to be completed, allow things to just sort of, run their course. Did I lose a friend or did I complete a friendship? Something to think about. Are we going to behave for the audience submissions? No biting the cords. No biting me. See, I see that you want to. Get your finger out of my face. Let's crack into this box. As a reminder, there is an audience submission box where you can submit anything and everything that's on your mind. What's the drama? Give me the juice. If it's not your juice, bring to me internet juice and beef and drama that we can discuss. I want to be in everyone's business, okay? Let me in. Ooh! It's that lady banging on the bus door. Hi, Maddie. I'm listening to the latest episode of the podcast, episode 151. That's crazy, by the way. We be talking over here. And specifically to your discussion about friends who date conservative men, and it has gotten me pondering. I love listening to your thought process and would love to hear your opinion on something. In a similar line to this story, a best friend of mine, someone I have known for many years now and claims to be politically aligned with me, just for context, I am in the exact same spot as you politically, blew me off very suddenly recently to, as she put it, get her back blown out by someone she met on Hinge the night before. The whole situation rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest, because not only did she cancel our plans for some random guy from the apps, but also did not seem to care at all what kind of person he was or how her action was not very considerate to me either. It was seemingly purely sexual from the start, and a prime example of hookup culture that she has always agreed with me is absolute hell. I have been racking my brain for how to bring up my discomfort to her without coming off as controlling or slut-shaming. I guess my question is, if it was a close friend who had suddenly started exhibiting progressively misaligned behaviors, how would you go about talking about it? Is there such a thing as being the friend that is too woke? And where does the line lie between trying to control/change someone's behavior and educating? I feel like I can guess where your answer would be, but I would love to ponder this together as I continue my walk in the park. Lots of love from the Netherlands. I have a lot to say about this. I'm going to assume, because you seemed to kind of allude to this but didn't say it directly, I'm going to assume that the person that your friend hooked up with was a conservative or conservative adjacent type of guy, potentially a loser. Sounds like maybe a loser if we're connecting it back to last week's episode. The problem for me would be the last minute bail. I can't stand flakiness. It's funny because we actually talked about this on the Patreon a couple weeks ago and how I just feel like everyone has gotten so much flakier. People love bailing last minute or straight up just ghosting plans, not RSVPing to invites at all. I was talking to one of my friends about this past weekend and I was like, I don't know what it is. And they were like, I honestly think it's just sort of the culture of Partyful and people now sending event invites through Partyful most of the time, and it feels less personal, so people feel like they can just ghost the invite and not RSVP or whatever the hell. And I think that they're spot on with that, and honestly I think I'm gonna start doing physical invites again, just because I want people to stop feeling like they don't have to RSVP, because I think it's rude. And I think that if someone invites you to something, you should always RSVP. If you can't go, tell them you can't go. But to say nothing at all when someone invites you to something, I'm like, oh, that's rude. That is rude. So if we have to go back to physical mailers to get people to stop doing that, then I'm all for it, because I'm sick and tired of it. The only thing that pisses me off more than a last minute bail is a full on fucking ghost. So, maybe it's just an opportunity to start doing crafts again. That's a side tangent. Back to what we were actually talking about. What would bother me about this situation is last minute bailing for a random man on Hinge. It's inconsiderate of your time and just kind of like bad friend etiquette. Now, if my friend didn't make a habit of doing this, and I'm just talking about the bailing portion, if my friend didn't make a habit of it, then I wouldn't bring it up. I would just internally inside my head be like, oh, annoying. Okay, whatever, and move on. If it was a habit that was really bothering me, then I would bring it up. But if it's a one-time thing, I'll be annoyed. I'll let it go though. Now, where this starts to change is if the guy that I'm getting bailed on for is a supreme fucking loser. That's when my opinion starts to change a little bit. If one of my besties needs to have sex so bad that they bail on me, which I don't think that's ever the case. I think if you need to have sex that bad, you can always give me a heads up beforehand. If you really would rather go on a date, if you would really rather go hook up that night, don't make plans with me, okay? I'm all for my girls having as much sex as they want to. Let your freak flag fly, queen. Like, have as much or as little casual sex as you want. I don't give a fuck. I support you and your choices. However, I would find it double weird if one of my friends not only bailed on me for a man, which is, I mean, I hate it. I do hate it. I hate that part alone. But if I learned that my friend bailed on me for like a Trump supporter, if my friend bailed on me for like the Sam Altman equivalent, if my friend bailed on me for fucking, who knows, one of these bozos, clavicular. If one of my friends bailed on me to go have sex with an evil person, I'd be like, so what are we doing? Now I'm concerned. And I feel pretty passionately about this as a woman living in the United States right now who loves a lot of people that are in very compromising positions in the United States right now. I can't fathom. Let me just speak for myself for a second, and then I'll talk about why it concerns me when other people do it. When I say I would never date or fuck or be friends with a conservative, and even being friends with people who allow those people in their circles willingly is challenging for me to the point where I won't be friends with people who are like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll date a Trump supporter, I'll fuck a Trump supporter, which is not fucking crazy for me to say that I won't do that, by the way, that I won't be friends with people who do that. Sex is political. Our bodies are political. I think it's actually fucking crazy as a woman to have sex with someone who doesn't think you should have the right to have an abortion, who thinks that contraceptives are bad, that birth control is bad, or at the very least is indifferent about those things and doesn't care enough about what your own rights to your body are. I think it's like, it makes me feel like it brings a shiver up my spine to imagine someone who doesn't see me as a human person deserving of rights to my own body inside of me. Why would I ever do that? That's insane. I think these people are evil, and I think they make this country a dangerous place for many people. Sex is political, and I'm only having sex with people I align with politically. On top of that, I am someone who loves a lot of people who are directly impacted by the state of the world and the state of this fucking loser ass country. I am the older sibling of a trans person. Do you, honest to God, believe that there would ever come a time where I would bring someone home, that I would date someone, bring them home to my family, bring them around my trans sibling, that wasn't completely safe around them, that didn't love them the same way that I do? Do you think that I'm the type of person that would prioritize dick over the safety, love, and support of my sibling who I love dearly? Like, I'd have to be fucking lobotomized to give a shit about that. I could care less about having sex, catching a dick, being around a man. I would willingly, excitedly do a little dance, choose to be alone forever if someone like that was my only option. That's how fucking repulsed I am by these people. I love too hard to ever allow people like that in my circle, both for me and for the other people I love. I give a fuck. And when I say I give a fuck, I mean that I give a fuck. And I can't picture a world where I would ever date, hook up with, be friends with someone who didn't see my younger brother as a real fucking human person deserving of all the same rights and respects that we are. I can't fathom why I would let that person into my life. And I also can't fathom why close friends of mine would let those people into their lives. Because if someone is a best friend of mine, they are a close inner circle, trusted confidant of mine. They're someone I go to for advice. They're who I rely on. They're the people that I want to be with at the end of the world. If one of those people is like, yeah, okay, it's totally fine for me to hook up with or date or be besties with a Trump supporter, suddenly I'm questioning everything I thought to be true about this person. Because to me, that is such a clear, hard stop because of how hard I love and how much I give a fuck and how serious I'm being when I'm talking about what I value and what I care about. I think if you say you value something but can't live within your value set, you don't really value that thing. So if you say you give a fuck about trans people, if you say you give a fuck about immigrants, if you say you give a fuck about abortion rights, you say you give a fuck about all these things, and then you have sex with someone who doesn't, you date someone who doesn't, you're best friends with someone who doesn't, I just think that is too intimate. Sex is political. Our relationships are political. Like what you do and say means things. So if one of my friends was bailing on me to go have sex with someone who doesn't see trans people as people, thinks that everything going on with ICE in this country is totally fine and cool, wants to have penetrative sex with me while also being pro-life, it's just laughable to me. And obviously, political dynamics are different country to country. What's true in the US might not be true in the Netherlands. But speaking from my experience and how I feel here, living the life that I live, to me, it's like such a hard stop. It's actually laughable to me that anyone would think otherwise. And it's not just Trump supporters, to be clear, because I saw someone being like, oh, well, not all conservatives are Trump supporters. I don't give a fuck. Hey, I don't care. I think that obviously Trump and his supporters are like deeply evil people. I also believe that most standard conservative belief points are pretty fucking evil. I mean, take a look at all of the various conservative politicians in this country that are not they themselves Donald Trump, but they themselves have not done anything to oppose him or meaningfully disrupt what's happening in this country because they care more about a conservative majority than actually having a backbone. There's no difference. And anyone that's trying to convince you that there is just, they're closing their eyes. They're not paying attention. My take to this is going to change based on the specifics of 100 different factors. If my bestie, who is otherwise completely consistent and reliable and doesn't have a habit of centering men, makes this weird decision in a one-off way, I'm willing to just be like, ew, weird, and then move on from it. I will not take it to heart. I will not, be resentful about it. I will just give them a pass and move on, because I don't expect my friends to be perfect people. People can have weird moments where they bail last minute for a dumb reason. They don't communicate well. They forget to RSVP, whatever it is. Like, people are allowed to have moments where they are not perfect. Where it would be a problem is if it was a pattern or if the person they were ditching me for was evil. You know what I mean? I want my friends to catch all the dicks they want to catch. Okay? I don't want my friends to abandon their morals and values in order to do that, though. That would be crazy. That would be literally crazy. Go have sex with men who see you as real people. How about that? That's what I want for my friends. I don't want to see my friends having sex with men who, don't care if anyone other than them lives or dies. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. So let's say this situation does fall into one of the categories where I would be actually upset and unable to just sort of brush past it and move on. Assuming this is one of my best friends who I love and trust the character of, I would sit my friend down and, number one, say that it was disappointing to me that they prioritized a random man on Hinge over our bestie night and last minute bailed on me, and it hurt my feelings. If it's a pattern, you just miss them and you miss the friendship, and it doesn't feel good to be bailed on last minute, particularly not when it's for a random strange man. That's part one. Part two is, of course, bringing up the misaligned values of it all, which this is where it gets complicated, because I've had this conversation with someone before, and ultimately the goal of the conversation is not to change them. The goal of the conversation is to get clarity on why they've made the decisions that they've made, if they have thought about it in a deeper way, and just having a curious conversation with each other. You're not pointing fingers and accusing anyone of anything. You're just simply asking and learning more information. You share your opinions, they share theirs, you learn more, perhaps people reflect, opinions change. Oh, I hadn't seen it that way. Oh, I hadn't thought about it that way. Thank you for clocking me. Thank you for calling me in. We have this beautiful moment together. We connect, we learn more, we, course correct. We're all good. Or you learn that perhaps you are not as compatible in this friendship as you thought you were. The goal is not to change people. It's to be curious and to have a better understanding of what the truth of each of you is, and if you guys are still aligned as friends or not. It has nothing to do with trying to control or change someone because you are willing to walk away from things that are not fitting anymore. Friendships are the same thing as any other kind of relationship. Sometimes it stops working. Sometimes it stops making sense. You have to be willing to walk away if it does, because we can't change people. We can't force people to see it our way. And if this is a deal breaker for you, then it's a deal breaker for you. Your deal breakers don't have to be the same as my deal breakers, but that is my perspective. Hi, Maddie. 3 years ago, I moved to a tiny town in the Midwest for work, and in that time have had one fling and one full relationship. Unfortunately, in both situations, it's clear to me that my body was fetishized and I was treated more like an object than a person. For context, I'm a 6'2" girly with some noticeable muscle tone, so I have a pretty specific body type. My height and build were very centered in both relationships, and I feel like the men I attracted were more interested in parading me around or being submissive to a muscle mommy than actually attracted to me as a complete and whole person. This is not something I've experienced previously, and it makes me scared to open myself up again. I'm wondering if you have any advice on how to recognize fetishization versus genuine attraction early, and how to not feel gross about it when you realize it was a big part of a relationship you once thought was real. Thanks for everything you make. Your videos are such a light. This submission is actually very interesting because I hadn't ever really thought about fetishization from this angle before. Obviously, I think about it a lot from like the plus size experience, and I think for me, my like perception of when people are fetishizing big bodies manifests more in people who love plus size bodies behind closed doors, love plus size women in private, but won't ever date a plus size woman. I've encountered plenty of people who will follow every single hot plus size influencer they can find, will go on dates with big girls, will hook up with big girls, but would never call a big girl their girlfriend, would never commit to a big girl, would never take a big girl home, would never bring a big girl to hang out with their friends, are very private about their attraction to plus size women. The second that shame is brought into the mix is when the fetishization becomes more evident to me. When people are extra private and extra closed off, and it's apparent that they themselves are experiencing some level of shame and they're projecting that shame onto me as well. I'm seen as a sexual conquest and not necessarily a woman worth courting and impressing and being romantic with. When people are like exclusively gunning for me in a very specific way, sexually and privately, sexually and secretly, let's call it that. That's how I know that I'm being fetishized. But obviously what you're describing here is a little bit different than the ways that I've experienced it. But it seems like maybe that's just par for the different ways we're being fetishized. Anyways, that's interesting to me. Fetishization aside, I think that a lot of times when we get hurt in relationships, when someone does us dirty, when someone disrespects us, makes us feel small, whatever it is, in the aftermath of that, when we're so scared of it happening again, we do circles in our heads to try to figure out how we could have spotted it and prevented it from happening. I've done this to myself in 100 different scenarios. Something bad happens and you want to believe that you had more control over it than you actually did. You want to believe that if you were presented with the same information a second time, that you could spot it and make sure you get away from it. And sometimes I believe that this is our brain trying to have control over something that we don't have as much control over as we think we do. At the end of the day, there are some red flags we can spot, and there are some that we can't. Some people are very good liars. Some people hold things in until one day it comes to light. Some people, things build slowly and subtly over time and you don't even realize until there's, a mountain of bullshit sitting right next to you. Sometimes it's just not your fault. And there's nothing you could have done to control it or change it or spot it. And it's not your fault that you didn't notice it. And it won't be your fault if you don't notice it happening again. Sometimes these things are deeply sinister and kind of fly under the radar. We can do all that we can to spot, the warning signs of someone being a disrespectful person. For me, it's the secrecy, the shame, having sex with and following a lot of plus size women, but having an exclusively thin women dating history. Those are the things I would notice because I have lived a life that has taught me to notice those things. But are there other things that I haven't experienced that I wouldn't notice? Probably. Sometimes you can't predict it. Sometimes there's only so much control we can have over these kinds of things. There's no perfect way to make sure you never encounter a disrespectful person ever again, that you never let a fucking loser get close to you again. Sometimes they weasel their way in there. I totally understand why you would be scared to open up again, scared to date and be vulnerable. You are putting yourself out there, really developing feelings for someone who is, more interested in you as a sexual conquest versus a whole and complete person to admire and get to know and romance. And honestly, I think particularly in the fucking nonchalant who can care less dating era of it all, people get fooled by this shit a lot easier because people convince themselves that they shouldn't ask for more, that actually it's totally normal, that they don't want to be doing XYZ in public, or that most of your relationship happens in someone's apartment. We're just hooking up so far. It's casual. We're going to ramp up. We're just going on casual dates and casually hooking up for now. Sometimes I feel like the emphasis on casual, sorry. She just fell because I moved my leg. I'm sorry, honey. Sometimes I feel like the emphasis on casual kind of allows people to keep you in the exclusively sexual and exclusively secret box while making it feel normal. That's something that I've thought about a lot. And one of the 800 reasons why I don't have casual sex anymore. And honestly, the list just gets longer the older that I get. Politics, respect, fetishization, having experienced sexual assault. God, the older I get, the more awesome it is to only have sex with people that you trust. Not saying we need to be in a relationship, just saying I have to trust and feel good about you as a person. It's honestly been a really good bar for me as an adult. There is nothing casual about that. I am not a casual woman. I totally understand why it would make you hesitant and scared to put yourself out there again. And you have to have the courage to keep loving and keep pursuing things that feel right. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, and trust that if you were put in a similar situation again, that you would know what to do. Don't let someone who disrespected you stand between you and someone who's going to love and adore you and treat you better than anyone's ever treated you in your life. This is why I started signing notes with love because I must. I am a lover girl. I choose to love. I choose to wear my heart on my sleeve, be vulnerable, to keep putting myself out there, loving, trying, being courageous, even when I've been disrespected and I've been disappointed and things have not gone the way I've wanted them to. Even when everything has fallen apart, I've chosen to keep getting back up, loving, doing it all over again, because that's who I am at my core. I am who I am, and at the end of the day, I'll do whatever I need to do to preserve and protect this person, and I won't let any amount of broken hearts or disrespect change me. They can go fuck themselves. I'll learn what I can from the situation. I will try to look out for the things I learned in this situation. But if I don't catch it, if I don't see it, if it happens again, I am only human. And sometimes people are damn good at hiding these things. There's only so much that you can control, and you shouldn't blame yourself for the ways other people have disrespected you. Hi, Maddie. I hope you're doing well. I moved to a new city 6 months ago by myself. I'm single and live alone and wouldn't change either of these things. But since I moved, I've struggled a lot with loneliness and feeling lost. I don't know what my purpose or path is here. I am so far from my loved ones, friends, and family, and I don't feel a lot of purpose from my job since I work for a large company. My question for you is, how have you found and continue to find a sense of purpose in big or small ways? I think there's a couple things that fill me with purpose and belonging. And the first thing, the most obvious thing, the one that feels like it is sort of all-encompassing and collects all the other things, I would say, is just being a creative person, living a creative life. Now, my job falls into that umbrella, but that's not what I'm talking about specifically. To me, living creatively. Yes, my job is creative, but also the way I decorate my home is creative. The way I dress is creative. The way I consume other people's art is creative. The way my brain sees and processes the world around me is creative. And I think that living as a creative person, prioritizing my creativity, my creative self above most things in this life, has been what has both given me purpose and connected me to the world and other people around me. I feel deeply connected to other creatives and other artists. It's why for so long I've said that I don't really know if I can genuinely picture myself marrying someone who isn't a creative. And that's one that I've gone back and forth with throughout my life, because I'm like, oh, well, maybe I could. But I really feel like there's a kind of understanding and knowing that I have with other creative people that I wonder if I would feel like I was lacking and like it was missing if I was dating someone who wasn't. I think the idea that everything is creative and that there is creativity even in mundane tasks. Cooking is creative. Journaling is creative. The pillows you choose to put on your bed are creative. The outfit you throw on right when you open your eyes in the morning is creative. These are all ways that your brain can be creative. So even in moments where maybe I'm not feeling as creatively driven in my work, I'm still living creatively. I'm surrounding myself with artists. I'm constantly consuming art that inspires me. I'm being creative in everyday ways, even if I am in the middle of a creative block when it comes to larger, paid projects or whatever it is. I find a lot of purpose and belonging in living creatively. And I think the second thing my brain goes to when I think about my purpose is I think about my younger self. This should actually be the least surprising thing to learn about me. I feel like I bring up my younger self all the time. I think about her every second of every day. Younger Maddie is so deeply ingrained within me. And I find myself grounded by and inspired by trying to be there for other people in ways that I wanted to be there for my younger self. This is why I'm very passionate about body image. It's why I am passionate about solitude and singlehood and feeling content on your own. It's why I'm really passionate about friendship and being surrounded by people who value it the same way that you do. It's why I'm passionate about too muchness and feeling like you are too overwhelming and emotional and sensitive for the world around you. I find a lot of purpose in being creative for people who resonate with those ideas and topics specifically, and letting the things that I create be like a safe resting space for people who have struggled with their body image, for people who have felt like they are too emotional and too sensitive, for people who have been single for extended periods of time, and for people who don't resonate with the idea that romantic love is a superior form of love that, beats out friendship at every corner. It doesn't. I find a lot of purpose in being the person my younger self needed and allowing that to inspire the things I create and how I connect with other people. And I think my sense of purpose and sense of belonging are very intertwined. I think a lot of what I just said purpose-wise, connecting to my younger self, is also, those are the same things that connect me to other people and are where I found my sense of belonging, with people who really value friendship, with people who have decentered romantic love, who aren't chronic daters, who have experienced seasons of singlehood that have impacted them greatly, with other plus size people, or anybody with complex relationships with their bodies. My emotional, sensitive, soft-hearted lover girls, anyone who's ever been told they are too much, too weird, too anything. Like, those are also the people I am drawn to. Those are the communities where I feel that I belong the most. Yeah, I guess I've never really thought about how my purpose and belonging with other people is so intertwined, but it literally is like one for one. What I listed off as the things that give me purpose and direction in my life are the same things that I have found in the community around me that has made me feel like I belong somewhere. And obviously those things manifest in a bunch of different ways in my day-to-day life. I think, focusing on like friendships with other people who value friendship to a high degree in the way that I do, that's connected to me, hosting dinner parties and home cafes for my friends, trying to plan these like pillars of the week where every Wednesday we get together and we do trivia, or we do restaurant roulette, or we do, whatever it is. We go to the movies. The things that I care about, the things that inspire me, the things that give me purpose are like my guiding pillars in my life that tell me where to put in effort and what it is that I need in order to feel happier. And yes, like the living creatively is like the overarching theme that exists throughout all of it, but the choices that I make are very driven by all that I mentioned about my younger self and how I can connect and find community with other people who connect with those same things. Because also it's like, yeah, it's younger Maddie, but also it's just me. Those are just parts of me. I just have a better relationship with those things now than I did when I was younger, but it's all still me. I loved that question. That was a really good one. Thanks for asking that. I'm going to throw us on over to the post show over on Patreon, where we will continue chatting and having simply the time of our lives. If you like what I'm doing on this show, you want to support the emotionally online greater cinematic universe, please become a patron. It's the easiest and most direct way to support what I'm doing over here, and we'd love to have you over there for the continued chats. Be sure to follow the podcast at Emotionally Online Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Follow me at Maddie Drosbeck, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.